Hi, my name is Rosalind Beck, and you probably know me as the Digitizing Diva at the Charlton Sewing Center. If you've been one of my students, if not, you're seeing me for the first time here online. Hello, how are you? Glad you could make it. What we're going to be doing today is learning my pin-up method for doing perfect embroidery placement. I've gone ahead and I've grabbed some techniques from other people, okay, in the embroidery and sewing industry. And I've put this together the way that it makes sense for my brain, and I'm hoping that that helps you. My students love this. So they've been asking me to put this video up, so this is the video, folks. Let's just go through a quick list of things that you need to do this. Number one, you need some sort of temporary adhesive spray. That temporary adhesive spray should be specific to the sewing industry. Please see your dealer and ask them what they would suggest for your machine, okay? And you want to make sure whatever you get, it does not gum up the needle. That's really where you're going for this. You need some sort of small ruler. I just made myself a quick little ruler. The big thing is when you have the ruler, you need to make sure it fits within your embroidery hoop. Okay, and I've already gone ahead and I've put in some tearaway stabilizer in here. If you take a look at the stabilizer, most stabilizer, you can in fact see right through it somewhat. I have a light box here for showing this on the video, but you can see I have a cutting mat right next to it or right underneath it, and you can do this with your cutting mat. You can actually see the lines through the cutting mat doing the following steps. So don't feel like you have to have a light box. You don't. So in order to do this pin-up method, we need one other thing before I go any further, and this is of course a template printed out from a piece of software that you have. Now, not everybody has software. I would highly encourage you to get some software, even if it's just the free stuff, simply to print out these templates or these proofs, if you will, of your embroidery design, so you can see exactly how large it is, so you can in fact place it exactly on a tablecloth or wherever it is that you'd like to go ahead and place it. This is a card tablecloth for a friend of mine that plays bridge, and that's pretty much the project that I'm working on right now. So I've had different types of software, and it really doesn't matter which one you get so long as it has something that's called an XY line. And printing this out, you can see that there is a north-south line and an east-west line. Okay, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for something that has the dead center of the hoop, and also it has these two lines that make a cross. Reason being, you need to be able to take your overlay for your embroidery hoop. Now, not all manufacturers will have an overlay. The FOF company does not. They have something else that they call perfect placement with their machines, and that's a whole different group of folks. But if you have one of these that lays on top of your embroidery hoop, this method is really what we're talking about. Okay. So, the first thing that we're going to do, and I'm going to do this a little bit, I'm going to try to really show this as best as I possibly can. Running a camera at the same time. This is a bit new to me, so forgive me. Now I'm holding this up and you can see the reflection of the light above me, but ignoring all that, you can see this is also very well loved, and the reason why it looks a little dirty is in fact because of the temporary adhesive. Whenever we're doing this method and you're using the temporary adhesive, make sure you are well away from any and all equipment. You don't want this anywhere near your embroidery machine. Step a few feet away, spray it in the opposite direction in a well ventilated area. But that's pretty much why my stuff is a little bit dirty, is because I've used my temporary adhesive spray. So what we're going to do here is we're going to color in the dots that are here. Okay, through. Can you see that? And with the light reflecting, I'm hoping that you can. There's one right there too. Okay, now I've colored in 3 dots here on my embroidery hoop through this little overlay. You can see a little bit better there. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to take my overlay and I'm laying it here on my light table for purposes of illustration. I'm going to take a little bit of temporary adhesive tape. And the other thing that you are going to need is, I didn't mention this before, and again, this is my first video online for doing embroidery stuff, is pins. So you're going to need a few of them. Nothing huge. Generally about 3 of them tops. If you got more, that's always great. So laying your grid overlay on the box here allows you to see it very clearly here, okay, on video. And I go ahead and zoom this in a little bit so you can see me work a little bit better. But you can in fact take your hoop and lay it on the cutting table at home, lining up with what we're going to see next through the light box. Okay, it's the same thing because the cutting mat is nothing more than a big grid, and we're looking at a grid right now, and you can certainly put 2 and 2 together here, or as they say, connect the dots, which is what we're going to do right now. So what I want you to do is to line up the dots where they are as close as you can on the grid, okay, showing through. What I'm taking here is my little ruler that I made, okay, earlier, and it doesn't have to be any fancy schmancy ruler. This is just a piece of grid scrap that I had from a quilting project, and it's the perfect size to fit inside of a hoop, okay? So I'm just connecting the dots here, going from one point to the other, all right? And then I'm going to switch to, and from the right left to the up and down, making sure that the right left is all lined up. Now, if you do tend to move things with your hands and you shift things, feel free to use your painter's tape. Okay, use some painter's tape and tape down a little bit of your hoop so that things don't move. I've just been doing this so long that I can generally do this without much of a problem. Okay, and the reason why I have this pin-up method is predominantly for, as they call, absolute placement, perfect placement. You can interchange any kind of adjective there. What we're really going for is making sure baselines are correct. What is a baseline? If you have lettering, that line that you see underneath where all the letters come at the bottom, that is really why I developed this method, because if you develop, well, if you have or use another method and things get a little bit off, when you have any kind of lettering, it's going to show. And especially doing quilting, if you're trying to put people's names on the sashing and everything, you have to have this absolute, because you're fighting the baseline of the lettering at the same time of the actual linear line of the sashing. So it has to be perfect. And this is why I developed it. So now we have a X marks the spot in the center of the hoop. Now, take the light box out of the way. We don't need this anymore. Hold this over. Now you can see this is the final result of what we're doing. I'm putting them a little bit further up in the corner. My design for this was that this is going to rest about 1 inch in from the corner, okay, of the table. So I figured out all the math for where I wanted everything to be before, and I printed out my little template that we see here, and I cut around it. I cut all the way around all the swirls as close as I could, leaving, okay, the center point of the hoop and a little bit of each line, as you can see here. Okay, a little bit of each line. You see the y-axis and the x-axis, okay? The up and the down, the right and the left, north and south, east and west. So, what you do next is you take your embroidery hoop, and again, you'll be laying this flat, okay? I'm having to hold this so you can see this for the video. I'm going to spray this, and I'm hoping my optics for my iPhone don't get affected. But this does take to the air. You need to do this in a well-ventilated area. This is a temporary adhesive spray where things get a little tacky after a couple of seconds. Okay, I'm going to put that back down. Yeah, that's fabric from another project. I was using that to bolster up the tablecloth. Okay, so really quick, I want to show you something. Cover my hand over here so you don't see how disastrous my studio is. Okay, I'm going to show you my machine really quick. I want you to see the direction, okay, of the design. Okay, the heart is pointing up to the top. Okay, and there is, of course, the club is right over here, and the heart is over to the right. Actually, the spade is pointing to the top. That's not the heart. Okay, but you see the direction, right? Okay, cover this up. Go back over the work table. Okay. And we take a look here to see, again, we have, of course, the spade, we have the heart, and we have the club. Now, as it laid out on the screen of my embroidery machine, so must it lay out here on my hoop. So my hoop connects, there goes the tripod, my hoop connects to the left-hand arm, okay, of the embroidery hoop. So I know when working this that I need to have, okay, my hoop like this, where it is to the arm here is on the left, and I need to have, okay, this pointing this way, because this is the way that the hoop is going. Hoop is going that way, spade is going that way, okay, we get everything lined up. Okay, next step. What we want to do is fold. You can get this. See this line here? Okay, the x-axis. What we're going to do is we're going to fold in on the x-axis. Okay, making sure the fabric and the template are folded, okay, together. Okay, I'm just kind of pinching it, going along. Okay, so now we have this folded. Now, I'm going to take a pin. Now I've already placed my motif, okay, as to where I wanted it to be on the garment. Okay, in this case it's tablecloth. I'm sticking that pin directly through the center point of the hoop, the template paper, center point, right? Okay, now we have this folded, and again we're folding this over the X line. All right, flipping it over. Now, see that folded part? Wow, okay, that's the folded part. You see the pin? That's our center point. So no, we don't need to be lost at any point. This is the pin-up method. Remember, this is all pin-up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up. I can make sure I'm looking at the camera at the same time I'm doing this, so I'm not screwing it up too much. Okay, so I'm laying this flat down on that x-axis with that pin, okay, falling to the dead center. Okay, pull the pin in to make sure that you're actually in the center, and I'm not. I need to pull that over a little bit more. Make sure that exit point of the pin is the dead center, okay, of where you need to be. Okay, now I'm laying that flat. I'm still a little bit tacky, not tacky enough. Okay, we're going to then lay this down, pulling this as straight, okay, to get this as flat in the proper orientation. You want this to lay flat, holding your hand down. Okay. All right. So now it's flat. Okay. We still have our center point. I'm going to pull that up at this point. Now, what I want to do is I want to do a tack pin at the top, just outside the embroidery area. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pin that through. Now, how do we pin it? You stick the pin in, you stick your other hand underneath, and you push the point up. Don't stick yourself, okay? Do it very slowly and very carefully. No blood. My mother used to have an embroidery business, and she'd say no blood in the customer's clothes, and that's truth. So, all right, do the bottom as well. So now we have that completely secure to the hoop. I want to make sure that this is right. Okay, if I need to change anything, I need to change that now before I put this on my embroidery machine. So this is where the pin up kind of comes in. I will flip this over. I will take a pin and I will first go through, let's see here, feel, all right, we have, oops, that moved it. Ah, there goes the camera again. Here we go. Sorry about all this. Again, this is one of the first videos I've done for sewing, so it will get better from here, I promise. Okay. So, where we have, Okay, the line coming down and the line going over. Either one is fine. We want to make sure that we are correctly orientated up or down or left and right. So I'm going to take my pen, take the pen, I'm going to choose a line here on top, and I'm going to flip it over. Okay, and you can see the line right there, right? So I'm going to stick this through. And sometimes the reason why I use a magic marker is because very often the line transfers through. I can see this. If the line had gone completely over this way, if I still had more paper on the other side, I'd put it through there just to be on the safe side. But I know that the paper only goes so far, so I want to be somewhat close to the point that I have there. Okay, I'm putting this around. Look here, I'm perfectly lined up with the y-axis. How about that? Okay, now if I was doing lettering and I wanted to make absolutely sure, again, that I had this right the first time, I would take the pen out, this time flip it over and go on this line, understanding that here it is, here's the line. Let me get this in camera view. Here's the line, putting it through. Okay, and when you're pushing it, make sure you spread your fingers out. Don't try to hit your fingers. Make sure you spread your fingers out just to create a little bit of tension. Okay, and look at that. Okay, you see the pin? There we are. Okay, pretty much dead on accurate. That's it. That's the method. I'd like to thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully this has helped you a little bit. I do realize that we're going on about 16-17 minutes. I apologize for the length. Hopefully next time will be shorter. Enjoy.